the smell of the rain in the desert there is just
Oh, it's wonderful. And which means that the spring is going to be gorgeous. You know, the African daisies and all of that, the desert will bloom.
so, and the smell of the citrus blossoms. Oh,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
did I tell you that when I was there last time for your birthday
Yeah.
celebration and I drove around the old neighborhood,
Yeah.
I drove down our street, which, is the cul-de-sac, and we were, I don't know if you remember, but we were at the end of the cul-de-sac on the
Right.
left. So as you come down that street, all the houses have been redone and they're all big and fancy and beautiful. Our house is exactly the way it was in five when we lived there. It's wild that it hasn't changed at all.
well, well, our big house on the end of Lafayette there has changed several different ways, but it still has the same uh, sort of ancient. Uh, it feels like an ancient place.
Right. When was that house built?
Oh, it was 35. No, it was 60 years old when we moved in, and that was in 19 what 58.
So it was late 1800s.
Right. Right. And it was full, it was a yard thick walls of adobe.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. It's an antique in that place. Unfortunately, the people haven't torn the whole thing down to rebuild something more modern, because this carries so much history and memories and so on. It's really that community is like a village for living medicine. You were a part of that community, and that whole area, which uh, is a very interesting thing that I think we can talk about.
Well, yes, and I was just going to say, when you think about, Adobe built in the 1800s, I mean, that was built to last the
Yeah.
time. When you look
Yeah.
at, yeah, so, it would be crazy for someone to tear that down, and so sad. So that's so great that they haven't, and that
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the stories those walls could tell.
Well, it speaks of what I think we is sort of what people are really looking for, and that's our connections. Who are we? What are we connected to? What uh I I have a grandson, John's son, who he and his wife, they're in their 40s. They're moving to Chicago, and they've lived in a small town in Texas. They've lived in Dallas, up in downtown Dallas, and now they're moving to Chicago. And people are asking them why. And it's interesting, the answer that is beginning to evolve out of the why is because they are watching two ends. Now, this is my perspective. So two ends of the life cycle. They're watching me in my ancient uh, role. They're watching themselves in what are really moving into the elderly. They're not there yet, but they're moving there. But they're also watching the young people who don't quite know what their community is. And that, so what they're thinking about is how they can connect. This is what they've said, but this is what I think they're thinking. How they can connect as old geezers with some of the young folks who that we can now uh, tell our stories to, and they could get interested in how life used to was, you know? It's I think we could, uh, well, uh, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and I used to talk about this. What she really wanted to do was to have it set up so that the place where old folks lived was right next to a kindergarten or a child care things, so that the old folks and the children could interact. She was never able to uh, have that materialize, but it's still the kind of thing which I think it's certainly what my Six Secrets talk about, you know, about the idea of finding out who you are, why you're here for a purpose, and then understanding that life has to move, it has to live, it has to be, you know, uh, doing something. It has to it shouldn't get stuck. And um, then the whole I concept that that love itself is the great healer. That's the connecting aspect of all of our relationships, and that love is the great healer. And the fifth one is you're not alone means you're in a community, but you have to find it. You know, it's looking for it, looking for who you can see needs your help, or for somebody can help you. Either way, you know, it's a community concept. And then the fact that everything is a teacher. And finally, when you do recognize how important you are, your inner person, the fact that you came to this world at this time for a reason that nobody else has, and you have that juice and that awareness, and all of a sudden, and you need to, not need to, you want, there's a part of you that really wants to share it, wants people to know how important you are and how much you love yourself. And as we continue to love ourselves, we'll let other people know that we're lovable. I, a few years ago, my youngest son, who's a physician in Flagstaff, came down and he was saying to us, he said, you know, there's a guy in Flagstaff, he doesn't like me. I don't understand that. I like me. It's a kind of affirmation that we as individual people are who we are. And that's really, really a very nice thing to find out who I am and who each one of us individually are, so that we can love ourselves enough that other people will be looking for us, and we'll find ourselves in a community. So, you know, you find what you're looking for. That's what I'm trying to get at. If you're not looking for it, you don't find it. And who, young ones, old ones, I think all of us somehow in our hearts want to be recognized as somebody who is important in relationship to other people.
Well, there was a lot there, and I feel like that's one of those mic drop moments where like there's nothing more to say because you just like gave this amazing monologue of great information. And I am going to ask you a couple of questions. So I'm curious with John's son, John.
Yeah.
So do they have children?
Yes, they do.
How old are their kids?
Well, there's a great grandbaby, great, and she's what got a connection from my mother mother's youngest sister to this new baby that pops in.
Chicago, were they living in a, they were in a small town that houses were more separated, and are they moving like downtown Chicago? Are they going to be near family? And
They're moving into downtown Chicago because he's an retired engineer, and he thinks about how buildings are built, and how there are all kinds of connections, that he has a mind that runs in these lines. So yes, they're going to move to a high rise, which will be a community of people who are living in that one space.
yeah, that's amazing. I think, yes, I think you're right. And I just recently saw something probably on social media that was talking about, it was like 30 friends that decided to create their own retirement community. So they bought a piece of property and they all built little homes next to one another so that they could grow into their elder years all next to one another and taking care of one another. And I just thought that was so great, to do that.
But it's thinking about what life is worth, and how the juice is so important that we share it with each other. And however we find that works, it's the right way to do it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. We're our Foundation for Living Medicine. We're talking about the village, which of course that concept is basic to the whole thing. Finding a large enough community that has the same purpose and work, that we'll be looking for the same things. So we're having a event April 22nd to the 26th.
No, May,
Huh?
May 22nd.
Oh, anyway, our I get dates mixed up. So anyway, we'll be putting it on our in our newsletter, and it's for a lovely place here in Scottsdale where we can take time to spend really looking for what that we as individual people are reaching for, what I'm calling our true humanity, that inner aspect of ourselves that is so juicy and interesting, because it's interesting to ourselves, but also to other people. And to reach out to that kind of deep friendship is just a very, very juicy thing to do. Are you there?
Sure.
And I don't hear you.
What happened to my end? Uh, Anybody else hear me? Can you give me
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Who's meeting? Is it open to the public, or is it you're meeting with the board?
No, this is a very exclusive thing. It's we did this kind of thing at the ARE clinic, where we had week-long events that we lived together in a very close community, shared our dreams, shared our hopes, shared, the whole thing. So it's a way of having art therapy and some of the different aspects of our being that we look at.
It's open, isn't
No. So that's one way of doing it. We're finding different places that used to be the churches had these kind of communities and so on. I don't see them having them anymore. where people would sit together after in a Sunday school class and talk about things they thought were important. And maybe they do. Maybe they do. Maybe I just don't know about it.
Interesting about what groups people belong to. Like I know, and I've talked about my, that I've gone and studied with Joe Dispenza, and I know.
Yes, yes. Things like that I think are so important.
Yeah, and so there's a woman who created a group in Connecticut.
You're gone again.
Weird. Why that I don't.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's so weird. I don't know why it keeps coming and going. My service looks like it's okay. Anyway, so she's created a group for people in Connecticut who have been to a Joe Dispenza event, and so they meet once a month.
Yeah.
So I do think there are groups like that, but you have to look for them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be wanting to understand this kind of thing and wanting to understand yourself and other people. And if you're looking for that kind of thing, you'll find it because other people are doing the same thing. You'll find each other.
Everybody is looking for their own true essence, or do you think that there are people that are just sort of happy with the status quo and they're just moving through life because they don't really believe that anything else exists?
Oh, I'm sure there are people like that, yeah. But maybe nobody has told them that something else exists. Maybe it's just that my story about the flashlight, that I'm walking down the pathway in the dark and I can see as far as my flashlight lets me, but over in the side there's a little glimmer, and if I connect my flashlight to that light, it'll be huge. It'll bring something to them. So that it's that kind of understanding that there are people who really think that they're isolated and they're alone in this world and they're afraid and all of that. But they maybe haven't been told that there are other people around who feel the same way, or that there is light available to them. You know, that these are things that if they're looking for them, they'll find them, because there are people in this world who are looking to find each other.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like I do come across people that they're just not interested in looking.
Yeah.
And I feel sad, I mean, that's their existence. But I do find that as you're speaking about that inner world that feels juicy,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that like that is the spark. That's where it gets exciting. All of that, which is sort of unseen, right? That unseen part of ourselves, that true humanity of the love that that created us in the beginning.
Right. And it's really interesting. It's, my eyesight has gotten very poor. I can't read, so I have to depend on audiobooks and that, and John's reading to me and that kind of thing. But my insight has gotten better, it as one aspect, and I still can knit, so I can feel things, and there are things that I can still do, and life is very, very interesting. In fact, I can talk to people around the world. I mean, this is totally just knocks my socks off. I'm so excited about the fact that, you and I right now are talking to people we don't even know because we haven't been introduced to them, but our spirits have been introduced. We're connected, and it's just, ooh, is that ever exciting? I don't hear you.
Oh, maybe it's your rain.
I think so. Arizona doesn't really know what to do with it.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
I just have to tell you when I can't.
yeah. And is that the rain that I hear in the background on your end? Is it really loud?
Yes,
Yeah, well,
yes, it's outside, fortunately. My roof is holding, but it's pouring down rain.
that's good. Watering the earth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, oh, good. Well, so that's exciting for your grandson to be moving into a community that feels like it's creating that web, the
yeah,
web.
yeah. The connection, my spirit beareth witness with thy spirit. It's that interconnection. It's quite a kind of, I think I've talked about my dad's story about the coolies.
The
Maybe not.
which
When my dad went to India as a medical missionary in 1914, there was a time when he was taking his work back into the jungles, and he had three coolies that went with him to carry the equipment and so on. And they went a 3-day journey into the jungle. And on the fourth day, my dad, who's this, up ready, let's go do things, he gets up and the coolies are just sitting there. And he says to the coolies, come on now, time to go. We're going to go. And the coolies are just sitting there. And my dad is getting impatient, and finally the head coolie said, Sahib, we've taken a 3-day journey to get this far. We left our souls a 3-day journey behind us, and we have to sit here and wait until our souls catch up with us. And instead of my dad preaching to them and saying whatever, he sat down with them and he waited for his soul to catch up too. He thought, well, I need to learn something from these people that I'm working with. And it was that weaving the thread of caring and concern by just sitting back down and letting their souls catch up with them. And I think that maybe that's, we've talked about this, Katie, before. Maybe that's what jet lag is about. you know, we travel all over the world, and where are our souls? You know, maybe, maybe we just need to take time sometimes to just try and figure out, okay, deep breath, what is it that's going on with me, within me, what's going on? And there are many ways of finding out. But if we're not even looking for them, then, you know, can't hear you.
oh,
Can't hear you.
whoops! I dropped again. Can you
Oh,
hear me now?
oh yes.
It's so weird. I'm sure. Oh my goodness, my phone.
Uh,
Thing. I'm curious as to how they knew when their soul had returned.
then they got up and did their work.
Well, I know, but like, what did it feel like? How did they know? Like, were they just not tired? Was that the sign that like that's? I'm curious.
They just got up and did their work. So they when they were ready, they were ready. It was that kind of acceptance, and they all just got up and did their work. But you know, it's nice for us to understand that when we take a rest time, it's an important part of our life. It's not wasting time. If we take time really to let ourselves sort of soak up things that are really feel right to us, and nobody can really tell us what that is. They can direct us and say, well, this is an idea, and help work with us, but we have to accept it into ourselves and allow it to feel right. When it feels right, accepting it and going with it.
I was just listening to a podcast yesterday about, and it was mostly for women, um, and that notion, what you're talking about with rest, and
Yeah,
how challenging that is for women.
can't hear you.
That
I'm so sorry.
now, no,
No, no, no. Yes,
yes, okay.
yes.
Um, Listening to a podcast about mostly about
Uh-huh.
women and the challenge that they have when it comes to rest, and that because we're so driven, we don't feel like we deserve it. We feel like we have to keep going. We have to do the children. We have to do the work. We have to do all the things, and that we need to somehow deserve the rest, and we don't honor rest
As as
be more
we don't honor it, Katie, we don't honor it as doing something.
right.
In other words, if I tell a patient to go home and rest, I'm telling her to go home and do something, not to go home and do nothing. You know, it's the acceptance of the reality that getting time to rest is essential to our whole body, mind, and spirit connection.
Right. Right. And so
So
why
it's not being lazy, you know, it's not goofing off or being lazy. There are times when we really need to rest. Now I can't even see you. Hello?
what a funny, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What a funny day we're having with the internet. I don't know what's happening, but hopefully I'm just gonna hold my phone now. That's all. Yeah, so it makes me wonder, like, where did that notion come from that rest is being lazy?
Yeah. Yeah. That you're goofing off if you're not constantly doing something, you know?
Right.
And yeah, we need to adapt our body, mind, and spirit to having a rhythm where you move forward and then you rest, and you move forward and then you rest. There is a rhythm. That's why sleep is so important. It's
Mm,
why exercise is so important, because in reality, exercise is resting in a different way.
mhm.
So it's finding or just listening to music, or right now for me to just sit and listen to the rain is resting.
Right. Yeah. So everyone's saying there are people. I couldn't see the comments before, but people are commenting that what's happening, and somebody just commented that they love this topic. So I do think it's so important,
Right.
the idea of rest, and just taking a break in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
if it's 5 minutes, just take a little minute to lay down or close your eyes or just sit and listen to the
Yeah.
rain, or
Yeah. To give
yeah,
to give ourselves permission to take what it is that we need, because it's different for each person.
Right.
And some people have the kind of a metabolism and psyche and so on that they need more rest.
Right.
And if they need more rest, they need more rest.
Right. Your grandson is saying the constant work ethic may have come from industry, since us working hard benefits industry most.
See, yeah, it's true.
And someone is asking, does Dr. Gladys like today's America or the one when she was younger?
I like life. I like them both. I can't imagine when I was growing up the thought that I could be talking to Katie and now to all of you other people. Oh my goodness, who would have thunk it? You know? And so this moment is the most important moment in my life.
Wow. And now this moment is the most important.
Now.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And so my friend Michelle is saying rest equals digest. So
How nice. Yes.
yeah,
I like that.
tapping into that parasympathetic nervous system that allows all the systems to do what they need to do.
See, you learn something new every day. To rest is to digest.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's beautiful.
And not only physically digest what's happening in your body, but thinking about digesting what's happening in your life.
Right.
Right. And
yeah.
So,
and allowing yourself to take it in so that you can digest it.
Right.
Isn't that fascinating? That's lovely.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Michelle. The power of now, people are, somebody is saying.
Right.
So
right.
being in that present moment.
Yeah.
Which can be really a tricky place to stay when I got myself caught up yesterday. I was kind of having a hard time. There were some things going on and it was a little bit hard to stay in the present moment. And I could be in the present moment and then I would flip out of it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? No? Yes? Now I can't hear you. Okay, our system is crazy. There you are. I can hear you now. Oh my gosh, what a weird, funny day we are having on the internet. Somebody just asked, what's your advice for young people? I just turned 20.
Repeat that for me because.
Yep. Somebody is asking, what is your advice for young people? They just turned 20.
Oh, you lovely, lovely young person. You're our future. You know, I couldn't be reaching any place unless I was reaching to you as part of who and what I am and the whole future. So any experience that I've had to help me, if I can use it in a way that I can.
Your sound is gone again.
Something is trying to interfere with what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
But you know, it's just such a lovely thing for you to reach out to me so that I can reach back to you. It's that flow of life and joy and hope and healing and love that is connecting us. Anybody that's listening to me right now, I'm telling you, the fact that we're connected enough to be hearing or we're looking at each other is a miracle. It's absolutely a miracle, which I could never have imagined.
Right.
But here it is.
And so if, hearing you answer that person and just going on what we were talking about today already is, the advice would be just keep looking within.
Ah,
The more within, the more you seek and find your inner love within, just the better human you will be to just share.
and as you find that, you find where other people are at the same level, not level, they too are reaching for the same thing.
Mm,
And you're sharing your juice
right,
with each other.
right. Right. There was another question. Hang on. Oh, somebody wants to know, how do you exercise your body, if at all? Do you take walks?
I have a walker and I walk, and I try to get 3,000 steps a day. I don't always get it. And I have a bedroom upstairs, so I climb those steps at least once a day.
And what about when it's not raining? Are you getting on your bike?
Yes, I have a tricycle that I can ride out. 2 days ago I was riding my tricycle, not a long ways, but just out to the street and around and back again.
I love
But enough that
that.
it stretches those muscles and bones, and besides, it's good fun.
And you also get body work at least once a week.
Absolutely, I get a full body massage every week.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, let me just see. Okay, good. Yes, great. Um, so funny so somebody did comment that the connection with our internet is, the rain and the energy of rain.
Right, yeah.
Um, uh,
And we need it.
somebody
So,
wants to know, what kind of books are you enjoying listening to right now?
well, there's a series of books written about a woman physician in the 1300s and in China.
Wow.
Lisa C. Amy Tan.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah. And so right now, those are really interesting, how not only how women were treated, but how women physicians were treated, and how the whole concept of medicine was, well, looking at it from different eyes, different times. It's a fascinating series.
And before that, it was Jack Reacher.
Yeah, he was fun.
It was who?
Jack Reacher,
Oh, okay.
Lee Child.
Yeah, just something very interesting and
Who's the author of those books that you're listening to right now?
her her name.
Lisa C. wrote
Like,
Amy Tan.
the name of it is called Lisa C, and it's
The
by.
author is Lisa S.E.E., who wrote Amy Tan books.
Gotcha. Okay.
Really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine, and I love that you're in. Just the backstory of medicine and where it all has come from, and
Yeah.
it's so great. And somebody also wanted to know if you've ever read Hemingway.
Years ago, years and years ago. Yes. That's another thing we could do, though. Thank you. It's a good suggestion.
Somebody was saying, surprised there were women doctors in the 1300s.
Yeah. And that's something.
Yeah, but wasn't that, I mean,
in China.
yeah, that I'm kind of not surprised. I mean, I think we were the healers.
Yeah.
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 So there is somebody who goes by the name of Mano, JKESHYAP, that is saying, hello, ma'am.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there.
All right. Thank you. I'm glad to talk to you.
And somebody is asking, how do you find your soul family?
My soul
Yeah.
family, they show up,
Mm,
you know, they show up. You guys show up.
mm. Yes. So it's who enters your world and who you feel connected to and
Right,
drawn.
right. It's how grateful I am to Katie to have made this connection 3 years ago or something, going on for.
Right. Right. Yeah. What
Yeah.
fun. What fun we had and the conversations that we have had. So
It's been a joy to meet everyone that, you know, we cannot identify you, but you can identify me and I can identify, the fact that I'm that aspect of us, it can connect. And it's wow. It's a real wow.
it would be kind of fun at some point to do, I think you could do that on a Zoom call where everybody could be on. You'd have to have a big screen so you could actually see everybody.
Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be super fun. Yeah, yeah, we'll have to think about that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Sort
anyway,
of,
well, oh,
sort
go
of
ahead.
grow into it.
Well, I have to say goodbye because it is time for my afternoon of patients to begin.
Uh-huh.
And I know this felt a little disjointed for everybody with our weird internet connection, so sorry about that. But
It's called life,
yeah,
Katie.
yes, it is.
My mother said you make do.
Well, we made do.
Yeah.
Well, so what's the rest of your week like? Who are you talking to? Any foreign countries
Yes,
coming up?
I think I have London Thursday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's fun. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Well, you enjoy that. And thank you once again, everybody, for being on. And
absolutely. And bless you.
yes. And we, thanks for hanging in there with our weird internet, but yay, rain in Arizona.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, you have a fabulous week, and I will talk to you both next week.
All right.
Love you both.